So the final asset on our watch list for today is my favorite, and that is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And in fact, this week we've done pretty well on this asset. In fact, I think the XAUUSD can be considered to be one of the most profitable assets on our watch list for this week, as we were able to scoop in over 750 to 800 pips on this particular asset. And remember that at the beginning of the week we accumulated some buy positions around that $2013 area, and of course the 2018, before we added multiple entries to maximize the potential of that bullish move. So it was a very profitable start to the week for us all in this community. Now, during our live session yesterday, we acknowledged the fact that selling pressure has resumed as soon as price action tested the $2,050 mark. As you saw here, we saw a high here, we saw a lower high here, as we saw how buyers were finding it difficult to break through that particular structure. And from a fundamental perspective, the sentiment here has been amplified by a recent statement from Federal Reserve officials, and the consequent decline in the US Treasury bond yields also prompted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland president, I think her name is Loretta Mester, who suggested that the Fed will likely be maintaining rates next month, and this also has fortified the position of gold. Now, another thing that came in yesterday, the GDP data that came in better than expected, and of course the weaker consumer spending data is also a significant factor that is likely going to be shaping the trajectory of gold prices today. Now, at this point in time, majority in the market are very patient and cautious, as everyone is eagerly anticipating today's release of the Federal Reserve's preferred underlying inflation measure, a critical piece that will offer insight into the potential interest rate movement for next month. So we are at a very crucial juncture at this point in time where we are trying to decipher if price action will likely continue the uptrend, or we might likely be seeing some profit taking activity, especially today being the last trading day of the month, to incite a little bit of retracement before another wave of bullish momentum happen. But yesterday's trading, during our live session yesterday, we talked about price action breaking down the 2043 level to the downside. That's what we talked about here yesterday, which it did. Came back into entry and take us out in a loss on that one. And this morning I also added another buy position which is not doing very well, and as a result of this I'm looking at selling at this point in time, and I will be sharing with you in a moment what I want to be looking at to actually sell this particular asset. If you are in any trade right now, depending on where you are, if you are in a sell position, you can hold on to your position. But if you are in a buy position, I will be suggesting that you move your stop losses, secure some of the position right now, as it's likely it's looking as if price wants to drop to the downside. Now, let's go into the technical details of this chart right here on the 1 hour time frame. Now, if you look at the impulsive move that started this week that brought us into this point, you will see our price action appear to have transitioned into what looks like a uptrend continuation pattern in the form of a pennant. So usually when we have this kind of pattern, we expect that price will break out of the resistant line of that pattern to incite an uptrend continuation. Now, this is a theoretical expectation, and it's not all the time that price action follows through that kind of perspective. Sometimes we see price break down the support line just like it has just done right now. And at this point, I'm of the opinion that we might likely be seeing a short-term retracement, maybe back into the ascending trend line we identified at the beginning of the week to incite an uptrend continuation. Now remember that we had this ascending trend line marked out on the higher time frame, which of course has been supporting this bullish momentum in the last couple of months. Now if the bearish momentum persists below the 2040, which shares a confluence with the this trend line here, which happens to be the support line of that pennant pattern, we remain in a bearish momentum, and ensure you have your stop losses right above the 2043 area. That's about 45 to 50 pips stop loss, and let's see if price will continue to the downside. Now we have multiple levels which we can use to capitalize on the bearish momentum, like the $2,035.50 level, and of course the $2,028.50 level, which interestingly shares a confluence with that ascending trend line. Now, if price dropped to as far as the ascending trend line, let's ensure that we secure all the sell positions, as depending on how price reacts to this ascending trend line, which shares a confluence with the $2,028.50 level, will determine if we are going to be continuing the sell momentum, or getting ready to join another wave of bullish momentum. So if we see buy pressure resume around this area, or price action transitions into a reversal pattern, then we look out for buying opportunities to join the uptrend continuation. And if price breaks down the ascending trend line, then this is likely going to be inciting a sell-off to the downside. So at this point, let's hold on to a bearish bias here, as price action remains below that support line of the pennant that we have here. So we remain bearish as long as price remains below that structure. However, if price action at any point in time climbs up and takes us out of this perspective, then breaks out of the resistant line of that pennant, then we are in for the uptrend continuation pattern. So we will be looking out for buying opportunities around the $2,046 area, and then if price goes on to break out of the 2050, which happens to be the highest point for this week, then we look out for more opportunities to add to the existing buy position. So we are at a very crucial juncture in this market, where the current market structure has a tendency of either moving to the upside or moving to the downside. So let's keep our options open. At this point, we remain bearish since price remains below the support line of that pennant, and look out for more opportunities to join the decline to the downside. But if price breaks out of the resistant line of the pennant, then at that point we want to start considering buying the XAUUSD. So you want to be marking out this level, mark out that pattern on your chart, as you will be needing it as a reference point to guide your independent trading decisions for today's trading session. So this is my view on the XAUUSD for today. I hope I made myself very clear, and if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So it's at this point I will be rounding up for today. It has been a moment with you guys. I enjoyed every single moment, though we had a little bit of each in the beginning, but thank goodness things worked out very, very fine, and we ended on a positive note. So if you have questions, let me know in the comment section. And on that note, we've attended to 4 major assets for this week, which we have been monitoring, and that includes the US All Spot, the US Tech 100. We also had a GBP USD on our watch list, and of course the XAUUSD, all of which we were able to identify simple setups that we will be using to guide our trading decisions for today's trading session. So I do hope we were able to mark out these levels accordingly, as we will be needing them to guide our trading decisions for today. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain 1 or 2 things from what we discussed here today. And in fact, I encourage you to be part of the subsequent editions, as the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you will become in understanding our analytical approach, and eventually be able to use the information gathered here to make your own independent trading decisions. So my final advice for us let's remain patient. Let's allow our structures to mature before we jump into any positions. And let's also ensure to have a well defined risk management strategy that will guide every positions we take. And one important thing about your risk management strategy is that you do want to allow your risk management strategy to be consistent throughout all your positions from your portfolio. Remember that every decision we make in the financial market is more or less an educated guess until price action hits your TP targets. So on this note, I wish us all the best of luck today and hoping to see you same time tomorrow, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time, as we come here again to review how well these assets have been doing and at the same time get ready for the first trading day of the month of December, which promises to be another exciting and promising one. So wish you all the best of luck. Trade smart, trade consciously, and do have a wonderful evening, everyone.